If you'd like to see more of our videos, hit the subscribe button to stay on top of the market news. Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Fred Razak at CMtrading. Today's October 27th, 2020, and today is Tuesday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, the Dow Jones loses over 800 points yesterday, but gains back about 400 points, or about 600 points less today. Now looking at the highlights of the day, two major numbers coming out of the United States. First, starting at 2:30 South African time, durable good orders coming out, and then at 4 o'clock South African time, one of the most important underrated numbers is coming out, called the consumer confidence. I would say it's as important as the NFP because it really gauges people's confidence in the economy. And since we're going into elections, this is really important. Now, despite the fact that we're going into elections, we still have numbers coming out. Okay, now starting out with the Forex symbols, we watched the Turkish Lira plummet to its lowest level yesterday, while the majors are pretty much unchanged and tapering off on volume as well. Now, looking at the indices, as mentioned, the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ both plummet. Looking at the commodities, gold pretty much challenged, but gaining to the upper limit of 1909. Oil pretty much unchanged. Now, looking at the stocks, they all retraced yesterday in light of what happened with the markets of pummeling. And lastly, looking at Bitcoin, still holding above that 13,000 as investors are looking for other safe havens. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So we're going to first take a look at the Euro USD, but just to carry my point of saying of how little volume is happening in the Euro USD right now. We're trading at the upper limit 1835, lower limit about 18. So we're about a 35 pip range, which is almost impossible to trade. Okay, but when we look at the Turkish Lira, if we look at it from yesterday, look at this. This is a daily chart. Now, this happened last year. We challenged this upper limit, and this made all-time lows last year. Okay, this was also a catalyst, if you guys remember, of some issues politically between Turkey and the United States, Turkey and Russia. Okay, and it's finding itself in a very interesting place. And right now, over the last, I would say the last 3 months, we've been just getting weaker and weaker, and finally capitulating to 8 versus the dollar. Okay, 8 lira versus the dollar. Now, if we look at a shorter time frame, okay, I do expect much more volatility here as prices correct themselves on the upside and the downside. This is bona fide buying. Okay, so I don't expect it to make a massive correction, but you do want to play this trend. If it does retrace, you have to, and you will have opportunities to jump into it. Now, jumping into the Rand, okay, this has been watching. You can see we're pretty much unchanged here. This is really teasing us at this level. I'm just waiting for it to break on the lower side to jump into it as it strengthens versus the dollar. And I'm jumping into the gold. Okay, gold rallied to 1909 yesterday. This morning, just giving up a couple of dollars. But really, this is trading within the range. Okay, 1900 to 1909, tight range. Nothing to really write home about. We did bounce on the oil here, as you can see, at $38.94, just below $39, but really nothing to write home about. And remember, your time is limited and your trading is limited also. So you want to focus your time on things that are mostly volatile. And looking at that, that's the Dow Jones. Okay, if we look at a 1 hour chart, look at this. Yesterday at this time, we were trading at 28,000. And we retraced down to 27,384. If you took one lot of this, you would have made about $3,500 in an intraday trade with relatively a small account. Okay. Now we did capitulate down here to 27,394. We are trading about 300 points above that, 2764. I do expect a resistance-ish level of 27,766. And look at that before. We had this support level of 27,194, and that's what we tanked to. That's what we capitulated and then bounced off of it. So you've got to keep the levels straight. You got to know what the levels are and stick to them. Okay, very, very important. Now looking at the NASDAQ also did break that support level at 11,100-ish level. We're almost back down to that area, 587, excuse me, 11,587. We did break that. And we're almost looking to use that as a subsequent resistance. Now, when we look at the stocks, okay, we look at Apple, it retraced, okay? It did rally into the end of the day as it did try to regain some of its real estate that it lost from 123 down to 111. Now remember, Apple's coming out with earning reports this Thursday. Facebook also didn't really retrace that much. Facebook's showing some signs of strength. Microsoft also coming out with earnings this week, 209, and it did plummet. Okay, so everything really is trading in tandem. I don't see a divergence between the stocks and the markets. So for right now, okay, everybody's just trading the markets based on feelings. Okay, it hasn't really absorbed exactly what the rationale is of what prices should be because we haven't had the corporate earnings. So still, as we go into this week and the latter of the week, I do expect further volatility in both directions. Okay, so just expect it. All right, but and we look across the board, it's happening. Looking at Bitcoin lastly, still maintaining that 13,055. I'd like to see it push a little bit higher to be a bona fide buy, okay, but it will continue higher, okay, if it does break that 13,170-ish level, okay. Very important to keep this on your radar as well. This is Fred Razak. Again, I can't stress this enough. I usually sign off like this, but today I'm going to even emphasize this even more. Make sure you have stop losses. Make sure you have entry points correctly set up for yourselves. And more importantly, the exit strategy. Make sure you have exit strategy, not just to, collect your wins, but to make sure you don't get hurt on the downside. Have a great trading day. Thank you.